I was really hoping that I would make a top books of the year. I was like really planning on making like a top books of 2023 video, and I kept being like, well, I don't know which books were my top books. Like, I'm not sure. So, so I was thinking, all right, well, I rated 29 books 5 stars, which feels like a lot. I only read 112 books. That's nothing. No, I read 112 books. It was a lot. And 29 of them were so good that I wanted to give them 5 stars. For me, 5 stars means it's not just a really good book that a lot of people should read, but that it like really spoke to me and felt special in some way. And it was awesome. So I gave 29 books that rating. How do I pick which one's best? And I have seen other booktubers do tier rankings. I was like, that's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna tier rank my books, and that's what we're gonna do. I'm gonna be screen recording, and we'll figure out together, I guess, what my favorite book of the year was. This is really exciting because I have no idea which one's gonna win. I have a slight sense of which ones are gonna lose, but we'll see. Categories are from lowest to highest. A book that only just made it. It was a 4.5, but I rounded it up to 5 stars. It only just made it to this category. A book that was excellent. Chef's Kiss, no notes. It's just a really good book. A book that not only is really good, but it also lives in my head rent free. I keep thinking back to it. Not only does it live in my head rent free, it was written specifically for me. It felt very personal, it felt very important. A couple of books come to mind already when I'm reading this category. And then a book for which I have a love beyond words. I'm genuinely not sure if any of these will make it up here. This is a very restricted category. Let's start. I'm just gonna go in order that these appeared, and they're literally in order. You know when you download a picture and it has like a string of letters and numbers? It's alphabetically by that string, so it's kind of random. They're not in the order I read them. And I think that's a good thing because I won't have too much recency bias. I will definitely have some recency bias because, for example, I read Friday Black in January of last year, so it's been 12 months. I've had time to digest it. And tentatively, I want to pop this in Excellent Chef's Kiss, no notes. This was a short story collection, super interesting, and I still remember some of the stories, which is impressive 12 months later, especially considering that I read many short story collections this year. BS Jobs lives in my head rent free. It's a book I recommend to other people, lives in my head rent free. Uh, at least read the essay, and you'll see what I mean. Beartown, I'm debating between here and here. I have a very strong love for Beartown. I'm thinking of buying a copy firsthand because just no, it's gonna go here. It's gonna go here. I feel good about Beartown being there. Our Wives Under the Sea, at the very least, lives in my head rent free. Was it written specifically for me? Ooh, did I like it more than Beartown? I think I already didn't know because I read these two in the same month. I think it was March of last year. And I was like, ooh, they're both really good. I think I liked the writing in Our Wives Under the Sea more. I wanted to annotate it more. But I liked the plot of Beartown better. I'm gonna have them hang out here. I'm not sure if this is gonna be in order or not. We'll see. We'll see when we come to finalists. Okay, The Dark Forest, absolutely excellent. I loved the whole trilogy of The Three Body Problem. And it is a book I'm recommending to people if they like sci-fi. And for that reason, it's going to go an excellent chef's kiss. No notes. It's not like super entrenched in my heart, but it is objectively an excellent book. The Hour of the Star, I have very mixed feelings about it. It's going to end up somewhere here. I think it's a 4.5 stars rounded up. I think I really liked it. Don't get me wrong. I think I need to read more Clarice Lispector to have a little bit more of a sense of it. I did enjoy reading it all in one piece. It was an interesting book. It gripped me, but it's not making it. It's not making it up here. This lives in my head rent free. Ooh, 1984, Julia. As in, I think it's just titled Julia. Actually, it's a retelling of 1984, and I'll be posting my review of it soon. I read it in November. Oh my gosh, what a book. At the very least here, I might have to start moving things around. This is Those Who Walk Away from Omelas. It's a short story. And just by virtue of being a short story, it's a very good short story. And I'm gonna pop it here along with Pew, which is the novella based on this short story. I read them together. They are 5-star reads, but they're not here. You know what I mean? They're good. Like all of these are good, don't get me wrong, but they're not. Night Crawling. Night Crawling, after I read it, I was like in shock. I couldn't put it down. It was a book I listened to and I could not stop listening to it. I think it lives in my head rent free now. Light Pirate is a book that I knew I would love. I waited to pick it up because I absolutely knew I would love it. It is very written for me. There's a character in there who's a scientist who like is who I want to be when I grow up. Given that, Light Pirate's going here. Gilmore Mate's The Myth of Normal, I was actually a little bit disappointed in. I gave it 5 stars in the end because I thought it was interesting and comprehensive, but it's not. It's somewhere here. These are not in any order. Let's be clear. Cabin at the End of the World, which is now a movie. But I read what the ways in which the plot was modified, and I'm choosing not to watch the movie. It was my first Paul Tremblay. It got me into Paul Tremblay. I really like his work. I'd say it's an excellent chef's kiss. It's good. It's a good book. I don't think about it that often, but like it's a good book. But I'm gonna go grab the other Paul Tremblay book, which is here, A Head Full of Ghosts, and that one I consider written specifically for me. I thought this was much better. I couldn't put the audiobook down. I loved it. I think he's clever. I think he's clever in how he references stuff. I think he's clever in how he builds stories. I was a big fan. Another book that when I wrote written specifically for me, this was a book that I had in mind. It's The Island of Missing Trees by Elif Shafak. I need to buy a copy of this as well. Ooh, this is gonna be a tight category. Yeah. When I'm like, my gut feeling about best books of the year have been basically these. I don't know which ones are gonna make it up here. Three Body Problem is gonna go here along with Dark Forest, which is the third book, and the second book, and then the third book, which is Death's End, which for some reason I have this weird audiobook cover of. I'm just gonna put them in order here. As the Three Body Problem trilogy, gonna pop it here. It's excellent. Chef's kiss. No notes. Really good. Really good. Moon Over Crested Snow. This is a post-apocalyptic, soft post-apocalyptic novel about an Anishinaabe community that suddenly their electricity's cut, their hydro's cut, all this hydro is electricity. Their gas is cut, all that kind of stuff, and they've realized that the Western world has essentially collapsed. Power's gone. We don't know what disaster caused this collapse, and it's how the community continues to survive. And I love soft apocalypse books. And I'm reading the sequel right now. I goofed up and the audiobook got returned to the library when I only had like 10% of the audiobook left. So right now it's definitely living in my head rent free because I haven't finished the sequel, among other things. The House of the Spirits is a book that I spent 2 months annotating. Rent free? Or just for me? I don't feel like it was written for me. That's the thing. I really liked this book, but I don't feel this sort of like intimate connection with it. I found it very like academically interesting, if that makes sense. I found it very compelling, interesting to annotate. Naomi Klein's Doppelganger. I'm just like moving it everywhere. Just gonna pop it in the middle here. The thing with Naomi Klein's Doppelganger is that I really enjoyed listening to it. I found it very interesting, but at the end of the day, I have trouble formulating what the central thesis of this book is beyond, hey, isn't it weird that we're so polarized on the internet now? Which, like, yeah, it is. Maybe I didn't take as much from the book as the book had to offer, but because that's like really what comes to mind, I actually just want to put it up down here. It's a great book. I really enjoyed listening to it, but I think it's gonna hang out here, along with Gilmore Mate, so she's in good company. I read Till for the Time Being, finally. I was putting it off for months and months because I knew that I'd love it. Yes, it's going over here. Yes, it's competing with these guys. The competition's stiff. I gotta tell you, this is a gorgeous, gorgeous book. And I read the other Ruth Ozeki around this time last year, and I'm finding that she's an author who just writes beautiful sentences and really interesting characters. Wow, competition's stiff over here. Okay, next one is Stolen Focus by Johan Hari, which has been a book that has really changed my relationship with time and what I focus on and how I spend my time. It's been very influential for me and is something that I recommend to people and is something that I think about regularly, and I've like changed my routine as a result of reading this book. So it lives in my head rent free. I think it's like right on the cusp here. Breeding Sweetgrass is beautiful. It's like a natural history marrying indigenous ways of knowing with scientific ways of knowing, and how both can inform a very complex and rich understanding of the world. It's very beautiful. It's very interesting, and I think I'm going to put it right here. It's excellent. It doesn't it doesn't evoke the same like heartstring pull as these guys do to like bring it all the way up here, but it is really excellent. Us Against You, I like it less and less the more I think about it because this is the sequel to Beartown, and the third book in this series I was not a fan, and it kind of tainted the second book, which is this one, so it's gonna hang out here in my lowest category. This is really stressful. Look at how even these are. I didn't do that on purpose. How the Other Half Eats is a book about like nutrition equality, I guess is the best way to put it. Um, it's also going to go down here. Like it was interesting, it was well researched, but it's not competing with these guys. Naomi Alderman's The Future was the first book that I've listened to on a treadmill, and it got me really into that. It was fascinating, and there were so many cool things, and it's making its way up here. I listened to Julia right after, and I'm so tempted to move Julia up here. Should I? Should I do it? Should I move Julia up here? Ooh, ooh, I'm making my life difficult, but now that she's here, I want to move her back down here. Yeah, if I had to pick one over the other, I would pick The Future by Naomi Alderman, which is like a near future speculative fiction about what if the billionaires do have secret doomsday bunkers in New Zealand? And then a doomsday is announced. What happens then? It was a great book. This one, you can't really see the cover. It's This Way for the Gas, Ladies and Gentlemen by Tadeusz Borowski. It's like a Holocaust memoir that I'd been looking for ages. I finally got my hands on. Um, it's a dark and difficult book, and I think it's going to go down here. I think it's evoking similar emotions for me as the ones over here. Like it's just a good book, and it's serious, but it's not in the top categories. I think The Heat Will Kill You First might also belong there. This is a really good book that I've been recommending to a lot of people because it's really scary. Especially because we've had the hottest year on record, and this book came out like in July during the hottest year on record. Um, it's good. It's spooky. You know what? It's gonna go in Chef's Kiss. Yeah, it's gonna go in Chef's Kiss. You should read this. It's something. And then the only other short story collection, Let the Old Dreams Die, which is by the author of Let the Right One In, who I think is becoming one of my favorite horror authors. I wish I knew how to pronounce his middle name, but John. We can call him John. Do these live in my head rent free though? Not really. Like, I liked the stories and some were sufficiently memorable. I think it's similar to Friday Black. Like, it should be down here. Like, I remember the gist of the stories, but they're not like evoking extreme emotions. Alrighty. So I think these are all the like 5 stars that I'm like, yes, these were really good. I'm gonna recommend these to a bunch of people. super, but they're not going to win top three of the year. Can I pick three among here, the ones written specifically for me, that I can bump up here to a love beyond words? The one that immediately comes to mind is The Island of Missing Trees. It was just the thing about this book is it's an exploration of identity and immigration and trauma and love and politics, and the writing is gorgeous and lush, and just I can't wait to read more Elif Shafak. I read 10 minutes and 38 seconds last year, and like it wasn't my favorite. I think I gave it like a 3 or 4 star. But The Island of Missing Trees was something else. And actually, it's here because it evoked similar feelings to the Ruth Ezeki I read last year. Similar with Tale for the Time Being. I think it's making its way up here. Oh, but then that means I have to pick one of these for the third book. Oh, I don't know. I don't know, lads. Okay, it's not gonna be A Head Full of Ghosts. I don't think it's gonna be Beartown. Beartown was good, don't get me wrong, Beartown was really good. Similarly, not Our Lives Under the Sea. Because I'm thinking these are like a little more one-dimensional, a little more plot-driven, and less about the writing. I thought the future was so creative and interesting and speculative, and just like I had a great time with this book. So these are all books I had a wonderful time with. Okay, so these are the runners up. Which of these is my favorite book of the year? This one was published this year, so it's so tempting to go with The Future because it was just so relevant, but it's also so tempting to go with this because I related to so much of it, and for the same reasons I love Tale for Time Being. These kind of go together, and I don't think I'll be able to pick one over the other. I think that's actually the problem, is these two books thematically are so linked, and in terms of the beauty of the writing, they're also very comparable. So I can't tell you that I liked one more than the other. They're so similar. They're actually so similar now that I think about it. Not in terms of like, I'm not saying that the authors like copied each other. What I'm saying is like thematically and the types of things that are explored and the ways in which the characters are developed. But at the same time, the characters aren't as developed in The Future. I liked The Future. I thought it was interesting. But it doesn't make my heart do the things that these books make my heart do. So now this is really difficult because this book I spent a few weeks with. I annotated it, I read it super slowly. But this book I felt touched me to my core. This one I read in the spring, this one I read last month. They're both living in my head rent free. But I think this has been the one. I think The Island of Missing Trees is the book that's going to win for me. Yeah, I think if I had to pick one, just one book out of all of these, which is extremely difficult, it's going to be The Island of Missing Trees. I think that wins for A Love Beyond Words, with a very close runner-up for A Tale for the Time Being. And I'm going to pop The Future back up here as a top three. These were fantastic books. I feel so lucky that I got to read them. I'm, yeah, just really happy. Okay, this was a really fun way actually to figure out what I liked. And I just had such a good reading year. I'm really, really excited. And I have so many other books planned for the coming year. I'm gonna share some of my plans with you soon. I'm delighted about it. I keep trying to not say that I'm really, really excited because I feel like I say that all the time in all my videos, but it's true. I am. Books make me happy. They make my heart happy. And the best book of the year, the one that won best book of the year for me this year, Alicia Fox, The Island of Missing Trees, is a book that just speaks to my soul and makes me very happy. And also is partially narrated from the point of view of a tree. I think that gives it bonus points because like that's pretty cool. And it's a tree that's transplanted from Cyprus into the UK, possibly also as a metaphor. If any of that intrigues you, please pick up this book. It's amazing. But quite frankly, all the books on this list I highly recommend. Pretty much all of them have featured in some of my monthly wrap-ups. Not just like the most recent ones I read, but those wrap ups are coming super soon. I just wanted to get this tier ranking out to you first. Okay, let me know if you read any of these recently or not recently. Let me know if you love them. I'd be happy to gush with them about you. If you hate them, please tell me so in an entertaining way. I'm a big fan of reading one-star reviews, but like specifically funny ones. Um, and I totally see the flaws in a lot of these books that made it to the five-star list, but that's the thing about love is you can see flaws and still feel very strong love. I'm gonna stop gushing about books now. Thanks so much for watching, and I hope you read something that makes you feel the way that I feel right now thinking about all these tier ranked books. All right, bye.